Welcome to the Week 6 edition of the 757 Preps Peninsula District Picks of the Week show. My name is Perez Thomas. I'm here with my colleague again, Jason Kidd. How you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing well, especially after going 5-0 last week in the Peninsula District Picks.
Yeah, I can't complain myself. I went 5-0 as well. I think we did pretty good on our first week of picks. First off, I guess we can recap on last week's action. Warwick Raiders just came out and literally demolished Menchville 48-0 behind, 7-7 passing from Josh Butler.
136 yards, 4 touchdowns. Cardon Johnson added 206 on the ground and 2 more touchdowns. The Warwick Raiders are electrifying.
I think we might seriously be able to talk about Josh Butler being District Player of the Year.
It's a possibility, but we're only halfway through the season.
I agree. Let's move on to the Kecoughtan-Gloucester game, where Kecoughtan didn't necessarily blow them out the blocks, but they got the job done with the 27-7 victory at Darling Stadium.
Trenton Cannon, Adrian Pope combined for 325 of Kecoughtan's 335 total yards. Pope had 196 on the ground, while Cannon added 129. 129, true display of the ground game.
Yeah, I'd say they dominated the ground game. We'll move along to the shocker of the week, which was Woodside 13, Heritage 12. Bit of a surprise. Everybody thought, Woodside would blow them out the water, but I think they were looking past them. A couple key injuries. Almost turned out to be everybody would say the blowout of the year or the upset of the year alert, but Woodside held on 113-12.
Well, Chris Muller, our player of the week in the Peninsula District this past week, had 2 field goals. On Woodside's first drive, he kicked a 43-yard field goal to get him on the scoreboard, and then he kicked a 40-yard field goal at the buzzer to win the game.
Ice in his veins. We'll move on to what was another blowout between the Hampton Crabbers and the Denby Patriots. That one turned out to be a little uglier than I even thought. Eubank went nuts as they went over there to Todd and won 55-8.
Yeah, Eubank was 12 of 17 passing, 326 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Dion Newsom, who started the season at quarterback, has been moved to wide receiver. Caught 4 passes for 156 yards, a whopping 39-yard per catch average. Had 2 big touchdowns, a 58-yarder and a 76-yarder. The kid's electrifying, man. He can really run.
He may have a couple D1 coaches knocking on his door here in the near future.
Possibly so.
And last but not least, the game of the week between those, 3-time defending state champ Phoebus Phantoms and a very strong Bethel Bruin bunch. Phoebus just kept doing what they normally do, and that's win ball games, 28-13 behind a stout defense. Kept that air attack of Bethel in check.
The Phantoms wore the Bruins out in the second half. They had a 15-play drive, 86 yards, took a little bit over 8 minutes off the clock, and the Bruins were gassed after that.
Yeah, it looked like after that second interception return for a touchdown, Bethel kind of had the wind taken out of their sails, and that was just it. After that, Phoebus took it and grabbed the ball and ran with it. Wasn't playing around after that.
Yeah, Deshaun Summers and Isaiah Jones-Clarks both had pick sixes on Frank Brown. Who would have imagined Frank Brown would have thrown 2 interceptions to the other team? But when you're playing the Phantoms, nothing surprising. Them boys are hungry.
That's the truth. Well, that's a recap of last week's action. Let's go ahead and move into this week's picks. We'll go ahead and start off with the Thursday night game at Darling Stadium between the Gloucester Dukes and the Hampton Crabbers.
Well, I'm riding with Hampton on this one, 42-0. I look for Eubank and Newsom to hook up a couple times. Kevon Bellamy, Dallas Cogdale get the ground game going. Their defense is clicking right now. Mike Smith has them boys playing good after a slow 1-2 start in the Peninsula District. I like the Crabbers big.
Yeah, I agree exactly to the T with everything you said. I'm going with the Crabbers as well, 42-0. I think Hampton opened up the playbook a little more last week, letting Eubank air it out a little bit more. That way it'll create a little more space for Bellamy and Cogsdale to get it going on the ground. I also agree with you on the defensive facts. They're starting to click at the right time going into the second half of the season. Let's see here. Now we can go ahead and move into the Friday night slate, which is the surprising Heritage Hurricanes bunch who they've been playing some tough football of late and might not show up in the win category, but they're giving teams a run for their money. And they're heading to play those Bethel Bruins who are coming off that tough loss to the Phoebus Phantoms. How do you feel about this one?
Well, if Bethel looked at the game tape from the Woodside Heritage game last week, they'll notice Heritage had a hard time covering the flats and the outside routes that Woodside was throwing at them. Bethel's a spread them out team. They like to throw to the outsides. They got two of the best receivers in the district. I see Bethel coming away with a 35-10 win. They're upset after last week's loss, and they have something to prove now, Just because they got their shoulder knocked off once, that don't mean it's going to happen again, and I look for the Bruins to roll on this one.
Yeah, I think the Bruins come out gunning. I think they're really upset. They thought they, truly had a chance at knocking off those state champ Phantoms. I think they come over there to play those Heritage Hurricanes, and they put it on them. I'm going 42-0 on this one. Although Heritage, that running back Abdullah, he's a tough back. And I think Bethel's front four is going to find a way to contain it.
Heritage has been getting better week by week. You got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff led by George Massenberg.
Definitely.
Heritage is definitely improving, but I just don't think they have enough talent to hang with Bethel.
I agree. We'll go ahead and move on to the Friday night game at Todd Stadium, which is between the Denby Patriots, who can't seem to stop the Oyster Point Blue Devils at this point. And they're going to go over there and they're going to play the Warwick Raiders, who they're on fire right now. That boy Josh Butler, what more can I say? Like I said earlier, I think we can seriously bring him into the top 3 discussion of District Player of the Year. If he keeps playing like this, not only is he going to have Division I coaches at his door, he's going to have big-time coaches. Your Floridas, your Alabamas, Tech and UVA are going to come calling if he's in the backyard. All I can say is I think Warwick wins this in a rout. They are clicking on all cylinders right now. I'm going 42-0 on this one. I think it's the week of 42-0.
Well, I think Denby has about as good a chance of winning this game as I do of you guys changing my press pass credential picture. I tell you what, I've been fighting these guys for the past 6 months to change my picture because it's not a true replica of myself. They got my ears cut off, just like I think Warwick's going to have Denby's legs cut off in this one. I like Warwick 42-13. Denby is breaking in a new quarterback who got the start last week, Terrence Dingle. He's a sophomore. And at this point in the season, they're 0-5. What else do they have to lose? They might as well break them in, get them ready for the future. I like the Warwick Raiders 42-13. Look for Butler to have another big game. Cardon Johnson, I tell you what, that 1-2 punch right there is making it hard on defenses. Warwick has a spread offense, and normally you like to get pressure on the edges on that type of offense, but if you do, they're going to give it to Johnson up the middle. So they're tough to stop, and I like the Raiders.
All right, that brings us to the Saturday matchup between the 50 win in a row national, win streak, active leading win streak, Phoebus Phantoms, and they're coming to Todd to beat up on those Menchville Monarchs. Honestly, I don't see the Monarchs having a chance. Phoebus may come, and not be too impressed or, inspired whatsoever, but I still see, a 38-0 victory. There's no stopping the two-headed monster. Pittman and Belfield are just starting to get their legs going. They're fighting each other for carries, and that's bad news for the rest of the PD. That defense, they're as advertised. Everybody wanted to say the secondary this, the secondary that. You must not have watched the Bethel game, because Bethel will tell you a whole other thing about that secondary. When you hold Frank Brown to, I believe it's 13 or 30 passing with 2 picks, you're doing something because Frank Brown can toss that ball. And all I can say is that defensive front, how many sacks did they have? They were on top of him every time I could look up. I'm surprised he made it through the game.
Mark Wilson and Jamar Jackson were putting Frank Brown on his back. Miles Givers was in there on a sack. He could have had 3 sacks, but he let Brown slip through his grasp. I'll tell you what. Phantoms 56, Monarchs nothing. I look for Phoebus to open up the playbook a little bit, do a little experimenting, get DeLoach more involved. Belfield and Pittman, as you say, they're definitely dynamic. Look for Seth Roby. I'm sorry, not Seth Roby, but the tight end Roby. Look for him to catch a touchdown or 2. Look for Featherston to get more involved in the offense. I look for Phoebus to open up the playbook in this one. I mean, playoffs are a month away. They got to take some initiative with this passing game, and what better opponent to do that with other than Menchville?
Sounds good to me. All right, and we'll go ahead and move into this week's game of the week for us. That is the Kickingham Warriors on Thursday night, coming to Todd Stadium to face off with the unimpressive Wolverines of last week. I think they may have been looking a bit ahead in the schedule, thinking, hey, we can run over Heritage and, waltz into the Kickingham game, and then we might have a little fight on our hands. What do you think?
Well, I'm taking Woodside in a close game in this one, 21-20. Danny Dotson and staff has them boys knowing how to win. They're going to have to stop the 2-headed monster of Adrian Pope and Trenton Cannon. Cannon enters the game as the PD's leading rusher. But when it's all said and over, I like Woodside's senior leadership. And look, Kickingham starting either a freshman quarterback in Nick Carrera or a sophomore who they just brought up from the JV last week to start against Gloucester, Brandon Tabb. Tabb threw 3 picks last week against Gloucester. He's not going to be able to do that against Woodside. I like the Wolverines 21-20. I mean, Cannon and Pope, they're definitely explosive. But when it's all said and done, Wolverines will win this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Wolverines on this one myself. I'm going with a little bit more of a spread involved. I'm going Woodside 21, Kickingham 7. I don't think that one-dimensional running attack is going to work as well against Woodside, say, as it did against Gloucester. I think Woodside's defense is much improved. I think Woodside's going to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder after last week, almost getting upset. People saying they're not as good as, everybody was saying before. They're overrated. I think Woodside might come in here and try and make a statement. I like Kickingham's D. I just don't think they have enough O to go with it. I'm going Woodside, like I said, 21-7 on Thursday night at Todd Stadium. Any other notes you want to add for this week?
Well, we're halfway through the season, and playoff implications are reaching a climatic point. Phoebus is a lock in Division 5. Woodside right now is a lock in Division 6. But other than that, teams are fighting. Bethel for a Division 6 spot. Warwick for a Division 5 spot. Hampton for a Division 5 spot. Kickingham, they're fighting for a Division 6 spot. So wins are coming at a premium now, and playoff times are a little bit more than a month away.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to win the games you're supposed to win right now. Because especially in the Division 6, you got a lot of teams in the beach. You've got your Salems. You've got Bayside, who was preseason state number 1. I think they've already got 3 losses.
2 losses.
2, excuse me. So they're going to be fighting, trying to get in. You've got Ocean Lakes over there. You still got Oscar Smith in Division 6, and they're going to have something to say about it when it's all said and done. And you've got a surprise team in Lakeland over there who's only got 1 loss, and that was the Oscar Smith, and they gave them every bit they could handle. So the Division 6 teams especially have to win the games they're supposed to, or else they're not going to be around come playoff time. So that pretty much wraps up the show for this week. My name's Perez Thomas. This is Jason Kidd. We appreciate all the support you give us. Be sure to check us out on YouTube. Like I said before, we always like to give you a little highlight action of the games. Anything we cover, we either have highlights, a story, we'll at least update you with scores on our scoreboard. We like to put new pictures up on the photo galleries. You can check us out on YouTube. You can also check us out on Facebook. And you can also check us on Twitter at 757preps. For this week, I'm Perez Thomas. This is Jason Kidd. Have a good one, fellas.